right, here we go. Welcome back, guys. And we just witnessed something of a debate. Can you guys hear me? Okay. We have an issue. Can you guys hear me? Are we live? Can you guys hear me?
We are. I'm watching the live stream.
Are we all coming through?
Yes, but there, like Dave said, there's an echo on your audio.
Okay, give me just a second.
It's like there's two of you, John.
Trying a new system and
that'd be better than one.
Okay, how's that? No, still doing it.
Same.
My apologies, guys. Give me just a second.
No worries.
So, John, if you want to get that dry erase board out, you can write down what you want to say on that.
You guys go ahead. I'm gonna give you guys the floor for a second, and I'm gonna figure out this echo. So, Dave and Chris, take it away.
Roger that. Yeah, well, cool. Thanks for everybody joining in with us. Been looking forward to this for a while. Did not really disappoint. I actually took notes on this debate because they're always kind of entertaining, but it's hard to remember sometimes kind of the little things that slip through that people might not notice. So definitely noticed that this was, as we thought, not a friendly environment for Donald Trump. This was definitely an anti-Trump panel of David Muir and whoever this other lady was asking the questions. It was pretty much like Trump was debating two people tonight, was my gut feeling about everything. He's debating Kamala Harris and the ABC News staff asking the questions. And I'll give you 3 or 4 specific examples of exactly what they were doing here in just a minute.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I would point out that something that really struck me as very one-sided is they fact-checked all kinds of things that Trump said, and I counted precisely 0 fact checks on anything Kamala said.
Yeah, and there was plenty of opportunity for them to say, hey, what you just said probably isn't true. And I think Trump missed a little bit of an opportunity there where he could have said, hey, you've been calling me out 2 or 3 or 4 times tonight about something I said. How about you just go ahead and start calling her out about some of the nonsense? And the first thing would have been the bloodbath comment. Like, are you people not gonna say something that's so obviously not true? When are you going to start calling her out? And, you know, missed a little bit of an opportunity there, but regardless, it was obvious to me. Hopefully it was obvious to other people watching as well.
Yep. I've got a couple of things to show here real quick. Switch here.
You still got the echo, John.
I thought it was. Oh, I know. Okay, that should be better.
I did think it was interesting at the very beginning. I don't think Trump was going to shake her hand, and she kind of snaked her way over, and she said, "Hi, I'm Kamala Harris." Like, no kidding.
Yep. So here we go. So this is really interesting. And so the first lie that they actually fact checked Trump on, and this is Megan Basham. ABC steps in the debate on Trump and abortion. This is when he was talking about them allowing children who have been born to actually be killed or left for dead. And it's really ironic because he was absolutely correct. And down here is an article somebody posted that 8 babies in Minnesota, which is Tim Walz's state, have been left to die after being born. So that is true. Yeah. What he said about the governor of Virginia, he misspoke at first and said West Virginia. It was actually Virginia. He did correct it later. He did make the famous quote that was, infamous quote that, the child would be born, it would be kept comfortable, and a decision would be made about the future of the child. So just the media, and yes, it was one-sided fact checking. Absolutely. We'll get to this one in a minute, but it's absolutely.
And they didn't even hesitate. The moment he said that, the female news anchor immediately, without any hesitation, jumped in. She said, "There is no state in the country where it's legal to kill a baby after it's born." To me, I'd have been at that point, I'm like, hey, who am I debating here?
Right. Exactly.
Is this part of the rules here where I'm debating everybody, or what's going on?
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Hey, thanks for joining us in the live chat, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button on this video. Help us. We're trying to get our Rumble rolling. We are also streaming on X and our YouTube channel, but we're trying to build our Rumble. So if you guys could hit us up with a like and subscribe and share this video when you can. Chris, what was your just immediate reaction to some of the stuff? I know you were out for the first part of it, but when what you saw, what did you see?
Yeah, well, I was outside training, but I had it plugged into a Bose speaker so I could hear everything that was going on, but I didn't get a chance to watch everything that happened in the first part. First impression, honestly, was she didn't have the word salad stuff going on like she normally does. So I didn't anticipate that. I didn't think she'd speak as articulately as she did.
Yep.
So that doesn't mean that she did a good job. It just means that she lied without it being a complete word salad. But I think you said it earlier tonight, John. Nobody at this particular point in time is still deciding who they're going to vote for.
Correct.
The people who are hardcore MAGA are hardcore MAGA, and the people who are sheep and follow, Team Obama, they're not going to change. Nobody's changing. So
absolutely.
And anything that they say tomorrow morning in any polls is just a bunch of bullshit. The polls are all about selling the steal, as you and I have discussed many times online. And what they're reporting in the polls is absolute garbage as well. So the legit polls that are not being done by the mainstream media are pretty consistently 75-25 split. This is not a close race, not even anything similar to a close race.
Yeah.
One of the first things I saw when we talk about fact checking was, Kamala and ABC News got a real kick out of Donald Trump saying in Springfield, Ohio, they're eating cats and dogs.
Yeah, so I saw something from.
They're like, we talked, and that was another one where, we talked to the city manager, and that's not going on. And then within 5 minutes on X, there's a body cam video of the cops going to a call where there's a lady eating a cat that the neighbors had called on. So this is happening, and we talk about the mainstream media really in on this. And Kamala, my gut feeling tonight was she did very well. She spoke well. She never stumbled at all. And I'm like, you know what? This really looks like somebody told Kamala exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. With her track record of how she normally responds, I highly doubt that she just came up with all this stuff on her own, especially considering when Donald Trump is talking facts tonight and there's video to back it up, and ABC News is making fun of him for it, saying it's a lie. And here it is. I'm watching on TV. I'm watching the video evidence on my phone. And you're going to tell me that somebody didn't give her the questions? I highly doubt it.
So the body cam footage that you're referring to is pretty bad, because the lady didn't just kill the neighbor's cat and eat it. she killed the cat and was eating it raw in the driveway when the cops pulled up. And he didn't see her actually put, parts of the cat in her mouth, but the neighbor spoke up and said, yeah, she's been out here eating that cat. That's why we called y'all. And it in their culture, it's not just the fact that the Haitian culture will eat domesticated pets. It's worse than that. They use them, these demonic rituals.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I pulled that up. I accidentally hit play. This footage. It's and what's crazy, you have a lot of people that would look at what Trump was saying, and because his delivery was animated as he is, they would say, well, he's just talking crazy. He just looks crazy. He spoke truth tonight. Like, everything that he said was absolutely true. And but just because, and you could tell Kamala had a goal tonight of kind of having that concerned look on her face, the furrowed brow, the looking at him like, oh, I'm really worried about your mental state and that kind of stuff. And he's over there just telling the truth. And that's the thing that drives me nuts, is that they're going to frame that. The media will frame that. He did step in it a couple of times where he fell for the rallies thing. And he fell for a couple of things that were tricks. And it was specifically, if you noticed, anytime that she got on that kind of stuff, it was, the first one was about immigration and the second one was about inflation. It was all issues that she has no answer for. And so it was just distract. He fell for it. He came back, but he did fall for that first one. And I was like, oh man, we missed a good opportunity to hammer her on that. But I think that Trump stayed on message with what he needed to say. He needed to say, they're the reason that the border's so bad. This is not me.
Yeah.
This is what they did.
He started off a little bit slow, but on his almost all of his rebuttals where he got a chance to respond were actually pretty good. I mean, he didn't just ramble on about, I just want to save America. He was pretty specific and did a pretty good job of listing some details to rebut some of the things she was saying. A couple opportunities missed there. The big one I thought was with, she kept talking about, I'm the opportunity. What does she call it? Opportunity economics.
Opportunity economy.
Yeah. And then we're going to solve the housing crisis, and we're going to give everybody, like, you are the reason for the housing crisis. When, in Aurora and all these places, and he mentioned it a little bit, he mentioned Springfield, Ohio, and that's when he talked about Aurora, Colorado. There's a housing crisis because there's 20 million people you just let in, and there's nowhere for Americans to live anymore. And so whenever she did get a little nervous, she did this pose where she put her hand under her chin and kind of looked up a little bit, like trying to be in opposition to him. But to me, that was the tell of, he might be telling me something I don't want to hear right now.
Here you go. For you, those of you in the audience, this is kind of interesting. This earrings look kind of like some that double as headphones. Interesting here. It's striking resemblance. Here's another thing, and this is just to let me get here.
Northram.
Yep, this is Northram. Quick video showing that he's absolutely true. Debating on whether to kill a child or not. I'll go ahead and scroll down to this one too. Snopes. I'm getting really tired of this whole find people on both sides. Snopes actually clarified this a couple of years ago. Actually back in June, that no, he didn't say very fine people on both sides. He actually called out neo-Nazis, white supremacists. And I'm really tired of the left just using this. And we know what this is all for. It's for the low information voters. It's for people that actually don't educate themselves. It's for people that it's not for really anybody in our audience, but it is an effective tool for people that are for the smooth brains, we'll just say. So what did you guys think?
I thought, and actually,
go ahead, Dave.
Trump did a pretty good job. Yeah, Trump did a pretty good job of keeping up with a lot of the stuff that she was talking about early on, probably within the first 10 minutes of the debate. She was talking about, her plan and what her plan is going to be. And he was very aware that the plan that got put out on her website, they found out through the code of the website, was copy and pasted from Joe Biden's website. Exactly. She didn't come up with her own plan. She copy and pasted Joe Biden's and put it on her website. And that's when Trump said tonight, your plan is run, spot, run. That's it. All you did was copy and paste, somebody else's plan, and that's yours. And that's when she put her hand in her chin. It was like, oh, really? Is that like, yeah, really, that's true. You don't have to think about it. It really happened. But yeah, when I just heard about that story this morning on the way to the range. And so for Trump to kind of be aware that it's just not news stories that other people are coming up with, I thought it was good of him staying on top of that type of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the thing about Trump is we know this he's not a dummy. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And we go back to, we all know what the country was like 4 years ago. We know that it was in much better shape than it is now. There's no measurable thing that we can actually point to and say, oh, well, that's a lot better than it was 4 years ago. So to us, that's not a mystery. That's not a surprise. But Chris, I wanted to kind of ask you, what do you think in the wake of this, how the media is going to spin this? And then what is this debate going to have any effect on where we're at with this election?
So there's already quite a bit of stuff coming up on X from other media outlets saying that it was a 3-on-1, was Donald Trump against both moderators and Kamala, which it was. We expected it though, and I think Trump expected it. And back to my prior comment, I don't think anybody's changing anybody's minds right now. But if you want to look at the chess move on the part of Team Obama here, is she performed better than expected, better than she would normally. So I guarantee you they're going to show that she got a bump in the polls tomorrow and the next day. And that's in pursuit of the whole selling the steal. If there's something like 50% of the country will believe that she got 91 million votes, let's say, if the polls she was ahead or behind by a couple points within the margin of error, they'll say, well, yeah, that looks legit to me. And she's nowhere near that, but that's what they're going to use this for. The next chess move is to say, Kamala got a bump. It's a horse race. It's going to be a close one right down to the wire. And they'll cheat their asses off. And the sheep amongst us will believe it.
Yep. I wish Trump, he kind of got into it a little bit tonight with about, the primary stuff, and 14 million people voted for Joe Biden and nobody voted for her. I would have really hit that hard, because this is just like a cheating husband scenario. Like, if you think you're somehow immune, like you won't be next, like, yeah, they booted Joe Biden out because he was sucking. And that was just that was their excuse, is he just wasn't going to win. What's them to stop from kicking her out? Nothing. You just, decide to not do one thing on the agenda of the far left, and you are the next person that's getting forced out of a job. She's talking about democracy, this and that. Like, how do you explain what kind of democracy is that, where just the richest, most powerful people on the planet just decide who the candidate is going to be and who the candidate's not going to be? And that's the world she's chosen to live in. She could be the very next victim. I wouldn't doubt at all if this somehow becomes a pattern. Well, we're going to wait and see how things go for a while. And if you're not going to, we got plan B and C sitting here, right? We got bigger donors and more popular people. I would have hit her pretty hard on the world she's agreed to live in right now.
Yep. I completely agree. Real quick, I'm going to read this. I won't pop it up on the screen, but a great synopsis by Ben Shapiro here. Muir, Mr. President, you are the font head of all evil. Your response, Trump. Answer, Muir, Vice President Harris, he is the font head of all evil. Your response. And that's literally a very good breakdown of how the moderators acted tonight. They did not ask her. They asked her a couple of questions that could have went south, but everything, it was the framing of the questions was always well, Trump's the bad guy. What do you have to say about that? And
the toughest questions were ones she was the same thing. Your positions on fracking and, Medicare for all, those things have changed. Why? That was it. That was the hardest question she took all night, and she's already answered that before and prepared for that answer. There was zero hard questions for her at all. And like you said, John, they're fact checking him on right there in real time, trying to dispute. And then here we are on X. And by God, or Elon Musk and X right now, because, man, and I don't know how people would be getting this information. They wouldn't. It just absolutely would not.
Yep. Here you go. Real quick 4-second video. What she said on fracking. She said tonight, I said what I said, and my values have not changed. Okay. Here it is. 4 seconds. Debunked in 4 seconds, guys. World record. She absolutely will get rid of fracking. That's her goal. That's the goal of the climate change.
Well, even if you don't stand on that, their whole thing is we're going to end fossil fuels. So yes, she wants to end not just fracking. You got the clip of, she's in favor of fracking. She's in favor of everything, not just that. All electric vehicles and the Green New Deal, and and she's making fun of Trump for saying windmills cause cancer. Like, she is off, the deep end when it comes to this stuff. And ABC News definitely not calling her out. Like, how are we going to end fossil fuels? How is the world going to continue to run if we decide to do that? How are we going to support Ukraine in this war against Russia if Ukraine is driving around in electric, Priuses? How is this going to work exactly? How are they going to charge their electric cars in Poland if, there's a war going on? Like, please explain how this actually works. Those have been great questions that you're trying to answer.
Here's another really interesting one real quick. A post from Matt Walsh talking about, ironically, and this is, I actually believe this, ironically, the moderators are winning the debate for Trump because they are so insanely lopsided and biased against him. They are now the story of the night. And like you said, Chris, earlier, they are actually the story that so many other news organizations are saying this was so ridiculously biased that, it's almost like Why?
They're stealing the thunder from Kamala
Yep.
because she did a good job of answering these softball questions, and is probably her best performance that I've ever seen her. And nobody's talking about it. They're all talking about how ABC News is out to get Trump. It was so crazily obvious, and the people that were there to try and help her have a good night, like, oh, we'll give Trump a couple jabs too. This will be fun. They've screwed it over for poor Kamala.
Yep. And it's a and I apologize. Apparently audio is not coming through on the clips. I'll have to see if I can fix that real quick. I don't know.
When you click that share button in Zoom, there's a checkbox that you can check that says play the audio. And after you do it once per session, it'll carry forward from there.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the other things that ABC decided to jump in and chime in to say is that violent crime is not down.
Yeah.
Really? Why don't you go ask those people in Aurora, Colorado, if they think violent crime is not down, or if they think illegal immigrants, cause the lowest amount of crime in America. Go ask those people. You don't need stats. You don't need a survey. Go ask the people in Chicago that are just, I'll tell you what, the people in Chicago are the most pissed off people I've seen maybe in the country, because illegal aliens are taking over everything. They're mad. They're upset because all the free stuff is going to somebody else. It's like, where's our free housing? Where's our where's all of our stuff? We can't get anything now because these people are here and they're pissed off about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you have anything to share? I see you taking notes and everything. So,
well, I have to. I got that sometimers thing. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I forget.
Right.
There's one thing that Trump spoke to a little bit. I think he should have really gone after more. She essentially was trying to sell herself as a change agent, and that she provides a new way forward. And that's just complete and utter bullshit, because you're the sitting vice president. So what's the new way forward? There's no new way forward. It's more of the same old, same old. Keep doing the same thing, keep getting the same results. So I think he could have beat her up a little bit more on that. Then the second thing was Afghanistan came up in a couple different contexts. In one, she took absolutely no responsibility for the botched exit from Afghanistan, let alone the 13 soldiers who died, which that's blood on her and Biden's hands. And then the next part, Dave and I had a little short conversation before we went live on her claim that there are no troops deployed in any theaters around the world. And as Dave and I are discussing this, my youngest son, who's serving at Fort Benning, training squads there, texts me and says, we have all kinds of guys in Afghanistan. He said, my buddies are there right now, and they're like in battles. They're not just there gathering intel. And then I think the biggest lie of the night for Kamala, bar none, was her saying, we're not going to take anybody's guns. That's probably the biggest bold-faced lie of the night, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
I think,
that's the biggest issue to me, is that is one that they, right behind abortion, that's my number 2 issue. Abortion's probably my number 1 because that's human life. But when we talk about guns, when we talk about that is the thing that protects every freedom that we have. And they do this in such a subtle way of like, well, it's just common sense, guys. It's just this, mealy mouth approach of, well, we don't need weapons of war. I'm tired of that argument myself, and I've had this conversation many a times. I've said this many a times. I want effective weapons. I want the best weapons. I want weapons of war. You know why? Because I have a right to it, and that's the best means that it is to protect my family from tyranny. It's not about hunting. It's not about all this other crap that they try and frame it in. No, it's about standing up to people like that want to take your guns away.
Yeah, another big one. I like to see some fact checking on, like some video stuff on X. Of course, ABC News brought up, we got asked Donald Trump about January 6th. And do you regret anything that day? And he didn't say yes or no. And he went right into, what about, Minneapolis? What about, the border? What about all these other things that never get prosecuted with the same fervor as all the January 6th people? And Kamala said that President Trump incited a violent mob to attack the Capitol and some people died, which insinuates that more than one person, that several people died, which he responded. He said that was not true. And then he mentioned Ashley Babbitt, who got shot in the face. So I think he did a pretty good job of dealing with January the 6th. But man, just that statement there of, some people died, like that could be a good comparison video, fact check video in no time right there. And of course, nobody from ABC News chiming in to say, well, actually not true.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, Kamala, that's not a true statement. Nobody's stepping in there.
Well, and that's the frustration there, is that they did it all to Trump, and it was very quick. Just so you know, there's no state where it's legal to kill a child. Well, I mean, it took us 30 seconds to find an article about 8 children dying in the state of Minnesota. California almost passed a bill which allowed them to actually euthanize children up to several months past birth. Like, that was a bill that was actually before the House and Senate in the state of California. So don't tell me that this is not actual thing. This is not an actual true thing that's happening or has attempted to happen in this country. And the fact that they are willing to do that, the fact that they are willing to so quickly fact check, and they didn't actually even fact check, they lied. They lied. That's the problem, is that they lied.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this after the last debate. They tried to get Trump to commit, will you concede if you lose this election? Will you concede that Kamala or Biden then actually won the election? Are you willing to say that the election results are real? And Trump kind of, talked about election interference and all that. But if I was Trump, I would say, well, let's make a deal right here on national TV in front of everybody. I will concede 100%, but barring, like, some states have a law that says if it's within 2,000 votes, there has to be a recount. Let that happen. But anything else, I don't care what comes up in the news. We won't fight. We won't sue. We won't do a single thing. I will concede to that as long as you do too. Whatever the results are, if I win by 1 vote, this thing is over. And they would never do it. They think, well, in a close election, we're going to win. So we want him to say, he doesn't want to fight it. But what if it's a close election and Trump wins? You're telling me they're not going to fight that as hard as they possibly can? I mean, just look after 2016 when he won.
Yep.
How all the Hollywood, do you remember when all the Hollywood folks, they got like 100 actors to get on TV to try to convince the Electoral College to not vote the way they were supposed to? They were begging, you guys can do the right thing. Please do the right thing, from Robert De Niro to everybody, to, Whoopi, everybody begging the Electoral College. It was their last chance of getting that election stopped. Like, and that was, what was so wrong about them? Trying to overturn an election, essentially. Do you think if they lose this election, if Trump wins, it's going to be bonkers, the things they're going to do, the lawsuits? They're absolutely going to say the election was stolen. They're going to go as hard as possible. And I would have made her commit tonight. Do you promise not to fight the results of this election at all? And she wouldn't have said it. She wouldn't have committed.
Yep, absolutely. So real quick, we will. Here's just a, Trump hammered her on the border a lot, and for good reason. This is going on. When he mentioned Aurora, this is going on in Aurora. Venezuelan gangs are taking over whole apartment buildings. We've done episodes on this on Survival Dispatch News. They are taking over whole city blocks armed with AK-47s and AR-15s, the big weapons of war that they want to ban. Guess who has them? Illegal immigrants. They didn't buy them in a gun store because
Yep.
you
And he
can't
said
do
they-
that.
Of course, another one, I think I've marked it down as question number 5 from ABC News. It wasn't a question, it was a slam right off the bat. Remember I can't remember the tweet, but they read a long tweet from, Donald Trump about, if I get elected, it's going to be the biggest mass deportation ever and all this stuff. And they read it like, and then they asked him, how are you going to do this? Are you just going to get, the National Guard and street cops to go start deporting everybody? And he was like, yeah. Yeah. Sure am. Like, okay, cool. Like, let's do that. Because these people, I saw a clip from a guy, it was in Chicago at a city council meeting, a black guy complaining about all the illegal aliens and how they're just taking over the city. And one of the city council people was like, what do you want us to do? And he's like, deport everybody right now. Send them all back, buses, planes, whatever, round them up and get them all the heck out of here.
Yep. Because here's the reality. And
So-
the overall is that without a border, you don't have a nation. This goes back to the Bible, man. What was the first thing that God did when he pulled the children of Israel into Canaan? It was that he established borders, and he told them to clear out the borders and establish their nation. It's as old. It's a tale as old as time. Without a border, you do not have a nation. And what we have done for the last 3.5 years is we have allowed these migrants, and he is absolutely right. That whole exchange where he was talking about they're letting their criminals out of jail, and because of it, their crime rates are bottoming out. They have no crime because all their criminals are coming here. And then our crime is skyrocketing. And then they said, well, just the FBI said that the crime rates are actually going down. Well, we've covered this too. It's because, and he absolutely was right about this, the largest cities have not reported their crime since 2021.
Yeah, for the longest time, I heard Trump has repeated this a lot, where in Venezuela, they let all the murderers out of the prison, send them to America. Their crime rate has dropped. Ours has gone up. And I thought, I don't know where Trump is getting this. Maybe he's heard like a story of like one person getting released and came here. Like, it's a pretty bold claim to say that Venezuela is emptying all its prisons and sending them all to America. Like, until I found out that information came from a Department of Homeland Security report where they detailed exactly this exact situation, just like Donald Trump is talking about. This came from the United States government that's in power right now, wrote a written report about this very thing. So this whole thing about murderers from Venezuela being released into America is 100% true. It's probably worse than what we even know about it. And it's not something that, it's absolutely 100% true.
Yep. And here, real quick, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a warning. This is a little graphic, but it is when he talked about cats. We showed you one before. This one's probably a little bit worse, but if you're an animal lover, prepare to be triggered. But yeah, this is really bad. I apologize for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
it's a thing.
cat soup.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting where Kamala, it's like, and Trump mentioned it. He goes, I just said, you say so much stuff out there that I've said before. I said, I think I'm going to send you a MAGA hat,
Just one of the best parts of the night. Yep.
and just watch you run around in that thing because you're saying everything else I do. One of the things she said tonight that I was actually kind of offended by on a couple different levels. She said, I stand for our country and the rule of law. So when you say something like I stand for our country, that means you probably support our country as a nation and especially our military. I bet if you went, here's something else I would have said if I was Trump. Let's go to any military base in America. I don't care. You pick it. Let's go there and let's decide the election on the vote of every military person at any military base in America. I'll accept the results. I don't care what it is. Let's go and have the military vote on who they want to be the president.
Yep.
And let's just see if you're all about our country and you support our military, then let's find out. That's a pretty big
Yep. Absolutely.
statement to say that, she kept saying, the military hates Trump, from the people that he fired to this bogus story of him calling veterans, suckers and losers. She insinuated to that tonight. Let's find out if you're the one that, all of our military loves. Let's find it out. And then to say, I stand for the rule of law, that offends me as a former police officer. Like, come on, you did say you want to reimagine policing and you want to abolish ICE and that you wanted to help bond all these people in Minneapolis out of jail that burned down a police station. That's offensive to me, just as law enforcement, as somebody who has family in the military. Like, that's the stuff on that one. When she said that, I would have got pretty ticked off if I was Trump, and I would have probably gone off on her at that moment.
Yep. Absolutely, because there's nothing. Actions speak way louder than words, and the actions of this administration are not pro-military. They're not pro-police. They haven't been for a long time. The fact that we let Haitians in to murder 11-year-olds, I've got up on the screen. This was an illegal immigrant let in by DHS, guys. And that's the other thing. And I see so many people, and even in the church, people saying, well, we have to be compassionate. Yeah, I understand compassion. The problem is we're not letting in people that are looking to be a part of the nation. We are letting people in here that are actually doing harm to our children, that make our country less safe, that make our country less able to raise a family in a safe country. And that's not been the way the United States is. The other thing is there are certain things that in certain areas of the world that you can't assimilate to a culture that you don't even understand. And when you talk about Haiti, you're talking about a country where most people don't have running water. Most people don't have any kind of amenities or understanding of how we live. In Haiti, it is normal for them to see an animal and say, okay, well, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to catch it and eat it. So they're not acting outside of what they normally would do. Now, there are other things like demonic things like voodoo and stuff like that that's going on as well. But just the general person that comes over here that's starved a lot of their life and they've had to forage for food or whatever, yeah, they're going to see a cat and be like, well, that's not a pet. That's a meal to me. And that's what happens when you're in a certain part of the world. let's not even get on the subject of all of the millions of dollars that was funneled through Haiti in the name of the Clinton Foundation that didn't help that country out at all. It was just a money laundering scheme because they were supposed to be helping them out and they didn't. And so they have used Haiti for this type of thing for years and been caught in this corruption. Clinton cash, there was a whole book written on how they funneled money through Haiti. And so they don't care about these people. The whole purpose of this is to overload our system and to make us fall to these broken ideologies and to be able to set up the government that they want to set up. And we're headed that direction. If we don't stop this right now, we're not going to get another chance. We're not going to get another chance at this election, at an election like this, if we let this one slip through our fingers.
Yeah, we're going to end up like a lot of these European countries that have been overrun by immigrants, Islamic, whatever. And pretty soon it's a battle. It's like, whose country is this? Less than 100 years ago, politicians in America were telling immigrants, you need to, just like you said a minute ago, John, you need to assimilate to American lifestyles. You're coming here. We're letting you come here because you love America and you want to be a part of what we have going on. So it doesn't mean like in Minneapolis where we get to, on the loudspeakers, blast the Islamic prayers 5 times a day. That's not American. Our job is not to assimilate to the culture of everybody else. It's everybody else's job to assimilate to the culture of America. That's the whole point. And it's been twisted to make it sound like that is racist. And the people that are victimized are Americans by forcing us to have to assimilate to everybody else so we don't make other people feel bad. And pretty soon, like Trump has said a million times, pretty soon we don't have a country anymore.
Yep. So real quick, looks like we were wrong, guys. Trump lied 33 times and Kamala only lied once. Only misspoke once, guys.
CNN.
Fact check.
We were all
False
wrong. Close it
claims.
down, guys. We're done. Sorry. We won't stream
I wonder
anymore.
where one false claim was.
Who knows, man? That's oh man, it's just like the media is if there's two gifts that I could say Trump gave us as a country, as a culture, as conservatives, it's the fact that he exposed the media unlike anybody else ever has, both sides of it. And the other thing that he did, he exposed the rhinos in the Republican Party. He exposed all of those people. He made their heads melt. In fact, a lot of these people are still, like, you got people like Bill Kristol, who was a mainstay on Fox News for, a decade or 2 decades. He's now like far lefty Kamala supporter. And it's like, they were always like that. He just exposed the fact that that we had wolves in our own hen house. And those are the two biggest gifts I think that he gave us, was that he is such a wrecking ball in so many ways that he wrecks establishment narratives on both sides, and they can't stand him for it. But yet he connects with people, the everyday man, better than any of those politicians in Washington, D.C. do. Chris, you have anything to add? You've been sending me stuff, playing background investigator over there.
So one of the things that I sent you is, and there's multiple pictures now showing up out there with regards to the earrings being those microphones. So we're back to Stephen Colbert's discussion with Obama 4 years ago or so, saying that he would like to have a third term where somebody had an earpiece and he could direct them from behind the scenes. That's exactly what he's been doing with Biden. We knew he was going to do it with Kamala. And the one, tweet that I sent you there, that's one out of about 10 that I've found so far. So unless somebody's photoshopping the screenshots from the debate, it really looks like those are the earrings that have an earpiece in it. And if you go back and watch the last debate, by the way, you'll see Biden constantly messing with something in his ear. And
yeah, he would always be doing the.
Yeah, he'd hesitate and then come up with something to say after that. And then, I sent you a funny one. If you don't want to play, that's fine. That cracked me up.
Yeah, let me paste.
I would say the overwhelming posts are what you said, right?
As we said in our pregame, like we it seems like conservatives have the ability to laugh even in the face of utter disaster. So
yeah, I'd say that Dave's initial assertion that ABC really screwed up because she performed better than anybody expected, but now all anybody can talk about is ABC's role, and that's the overwhelming sentiment that I'm seeing while y'all are talking. I'm scrolling through InfoWars, X, Breitbart, and it's all exactly what Dave said. They basically wrecked it for Kamala because she did do better than expected. Nobody's talking about that. I haven't seen one tweet that said anything even remotely similar to that. They're all ABC screwed this up.
I think, yeah. So this is actually a really interesting rabbit hole to go down, because they were prepared to carry the water, but they carried too much water. from the
Yep.
get-go. And because of that, they exposed themselves as being overly biased. If she would have been melting down kind of like what Biden did last time, and then it would have been looked at as like, oh yeah, well, they're a little bit biased, but not that big of a deal, kind of thing. But now it looks like I've seen tons of people tweeting 3-against-1 debate, and that's exactly what it was. Yep.
Somebody else, I've seen this twice, so I haven't had a chance to go look at the actual pictures, but this person says, anyone notice how they had the lights on Kamala brighter than on Trump, trying to make her look more bright and vibrant, trying to make her look white and make him look orange. ABC rots the soul of our nation. I didn't notice. I didn't pick up on that, but a lot of it I was just listening to. I didn't get to actually watch it. But this is the second person who said something to that effect. I don't know if you've got any pictures, video, something that somebody's posted.
Actually, I'll pop this up real quick. Give me just 1 second. You can actually see it here to a certain extent.
So yeah, so Sebastian Gorka also is claiming that it's a classic tell that when someone is lying, they put their head on their hand. I got I have my head on my hand here.
You liar, Chris.
No, but we had a discussion today with the general and Lieutenant Colonel Doc Beach Chambers and Major Mike Hall, all people that you know. And one of the things that came up was that when you're watching somebody answer questions or tell a story, if they look up and to the right, that's the creative side of the brain, and they're making a fairy tale up. If they look up to the left, that's where the data banks are. And I've been looking through some pictures here of Kamala, and she looks up and to the right a lot.
Yeah.
So watch for that when you're watching video on her.
Well, the thing is like, guys, we have video evidence of her lying, saying the opposite thing. Like, you don't even have to. You don't even have to go to body language. You can just say, "No, It's like politicians, and I know the reason is because the three of us are much more plugged into the general public.
Mm-hmm.
So we see this stuff. And we can say, no, that's absolutely wrong. That's absolutely wrong. You said the opposite. You said you were going to end fracking. You said you were going to confiscate guns. You said this stuff.
She said in public yesterday that they're going to have a weapons ban and they're going to seize guns.
Yep.
It's all gaslighting. The Democrats have done this forever and a day. The rhinos as well. They tell a lie over and over and over again until they believe their own lies, and so do their followers. It's absolutely unbelievable that nobody takes 2 seconds to do the research. Kamala just said last night, we're going to do gun confiscation just like Australia.
Yep.
If they can do it in Australia, we can do it here.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Well, I'm definitely interested to see where this kind of goes in the upcoming days and weeks, because here's the thing. She didn't get a bump out of the convention. The newness is the hope and change, or what do we call it now? Joy and vibes. That's what it is now. And she didn't get a bump out of the convention. And now we're seeing that the polls are moving back in the opposite direction. Now she held, I would say, in the eyes of the media, it will be portrayed as that she won it going away and she just utterly dominated. I think to a certain extent she lost because she lied more, but she held serve in the optics world. She didn't have a meltdown. Like the optics of the debate were, I would say, even if not a little bit tilted to her because of the way her body language worked. However, and Trump was pretty aggressive once the debate got going. The problem is she had this moment in against Biden in the Democratic primary in 2019. And after the debate, people started looking into this stuff and they're like, oh, well, she was lying about that. She was lying about being bussed in when she was a kid and all of that stuff where she was basically trying to call Biden a racist. And she basically nosedived in her approvals and had to jump out before they even got to Iowa in the primaries. She never even actually made it through the primaries.
That's
So
right.
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I just sent you one on her connection to Disney, which owns ABC. It's not going to surprise you, but it's
She was also really dumb for saying that Trump's rallies were, it was just crazy talk and people getting bored and leaving early. The next rally of his will be absolutely crazy with probably 50,000 people there. And all they're going to do is show the video of this next rally with 100,000 people there, right next to the clip of her saying, everybody's bored at his rallies.
Yep.
And show everybody what's up. So and he did a pretty good job on that. He's like, nobody wants to go to yours. You're busing people in and paying people to go to your rallies, which is true. So I mean, I'm really surprised she went there.
Yep. So I think I've had a long day, and so I'm gonna. If you guys have a couple more things that you want to share or add, I'll do that. But it's almost 11 o'clock in Illinois, and I got an early day in the morning, so had 2 live streams and all day working on a range. So I'm a little worn out. So I'm probably gonna say about 45 minutes. We're good. I know Chris is probably ready to to hit the hay too, but
so good.
I'll give you guys. I'll give each of you a chance to kind of sum up where you think we are, and what if tonight, if it changes anything, what it changes, and then we'll sign off for the evening. Go ahead, Dave. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm curious. There's still an opportunity for another debate. If I don't know. Trump would probably, and rightly so, never agree to another ABC or CBS, or NBC News debate because it's just a setup. And there's no way she's going to do a Fox News debate because it would be just the opposite. You get somebody, like Jesse Waters or Sean Hannity asking questions. That's what a bloodbath would look like, no doubt about it. So the debates are over. This is, we talk about the honeymoon stage. This is it. It can't get any better for Kamala than it is right now. And in 2016, Hillary had like an 8-point lead on the day of the election.
Yep.
And that didn't work out so well for her. So if this continues to stay neck and neck, which I don't know how it could, really change, we're looking at possibly a big victory for Trump. So we'll see how things go. Look forward to that. There won't be any other debates is my prediction on that. And also, there's not going to be any more interviews. They're just going to let her try to ride the coattails of this debate and not say anything else that could screw it up. So that's it. You're not going to get any more questions from Kamala. They're going to hide her out in the basement or on Air Force One and just ride this thing out and see what happens from here.
Yep. Chris, what are your thoughts? Kind of closing thoughts.
Well, tonight changes nothing at all. They might feel that it's breathed life into Kamala's campaign, but as I said earlier, all that does is help them sell the steel a little bit more. But I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to be able to steal this one like they did in 2020 because the delta is too much. She's too far behind them. So they can try and make the polls look like it's close so that, they can try sell the idea of a steal. It's not going to happen. I've moved past the election now. Where Trump's going to win the election, and I honestly believe they're going to transfer power to him, most likely. But if they don't, it'll be, as I mentioned earlier, they'll try and poison him like they just did to Bolsonaro. They'll drop some drones on Mar-a-Lago and take him out that way. But this changes nothing tonight. Not a darn thing. It only changes things for the people who are SpongeBob fans who need everything to change every 3 or 4 seconds. That's it.
The doom scrollers on TikTok.
Correct.
Yeah,
exactly.
I generally agree with that. I don't think that this really changes much. I don't think it ever could have changed much unless there was a massive meltdown. That's really the only thing that could have changed this. I was actually surprised that Kamala kept her composure, but maybe that was just because she was listening in on somebody telling her, coaching her, because historically she can't even stay on a teleprompter very well. But I will say this: this doesn't change anything; only we change it. So what we've been preaching on Survival Dispatch is find people that don't normally vote, take them to the polls. Find 3 or 4 other people and encourage them to do the same. Because if we get to a certain level, it is uncheatable. It is tamperable. So we have to do the groundwork. We have to actually get out and do our job as American citizens and do our civic duty and send a message to Washington, D.C., send a message to all of the corruptocrats in both parties that we want change, and we're fed up with the status quo. We're fed up with inflation being out of the through the roof, and tons of endless wars and all of this other stuff, and do something for the American people. Support us instead of trying to support the world. Get all of the illegals out, make them come in the correct way, the legal way. And so I think if we do that, nothing's going to change, but we can change it. So as a parting comment, I would say get out and vote in November. We're going to be bringing you a lot of content between now and then, a lot of commentary and just keeping up with the normal events, the daily news, that kind of stuff. So don't forget, before you guys leave, to like and subscribe to our channel on Rumble here. And if you're watching us on X, subscribe there. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe there. We want as many of you guys to tune in as possible. So we're going to sign off for the evening. And until next time, we'll see you, and God bless America.
Appreciate it.